So what do we do when we discover that our president is a grifter who in all probability is broke and deeply underwater and therefore vulnerable to influence from foreign countries where he has Trump properties, who also happen to be autocratic places? Julio Rivera and I debate the issue today. Check it out. It's great. And don't forget to ding the bell, leave your comments, and subscribe to our channel. The biggest story of the day is the piece that Casey Michael published over at Think Progress and the New York Times, the Trump organization's problem with possible money laundering. I mean, if we look at, in the Republic of Congo, the ruling Sessoso Ngoesso family, heavily invested in the Trump International Tower in New York and hotel, the daughter of the longtime ruler of the Congo. Moved millions through an American law firm, laundering money. Haiti. This was Trump's first money laundering deal. It was 1983 with Jean-Claude Baby Doc Duvalier. He stole $1.6 million from Haiti and put it into a property in Trump Tower, New York. Azerbaijan, the former transportation minister, Zaya Mammadov, put money into the Trump International Hotel and Tower in Baku, Azerbaijan. Money laundering. Kazakhstan, former Kazakhstan official and oligarch Timur Kubaliev. Money laundering. His businesses signed on to help finance the Trump Tower Batumi, a planned enclave along Georgia's Black Sea coastline, former Soviet Union. Kazakhstan, investing in the Trump Soho, New York. The Philippines. The guy who's the special envoy for U.S. trade, hiding his money in the U.S. through Trump properties. Indonesia, Haritano, the vice presidential candidate, same deal. Over and over and over again, we're seeing that Donald Trump, who according to the New York Times, is just plain old flat out broke. I mean, he lost over $1 billion in 1985 money. I mean, this is almost $2 billion in today's money, and has, I think, been underwater ever since. And now we're starting to see why I think Donald Trump has been so freaky about his tax returns or any of his financial information coming out, because the guy is a failed grifter. And he has been living off cash flow and loans. I mean, he borrowed $300 million in Deutsche Bank, not only refused to pay it back, but sued them. This was about 15, 20 years ago, maybe 18 years ago. And in the meantime, I think he's been living on that $300 million. What does this mean for American democracy when you have a president who's a grifter and is vulnerable not just to blackmail, but to being bought by foreign governments? Russia was offering him $250 million a year in cash flow for a $1 billion Trump Tower. Julio Rivera is on the line with us. Our old buddy Julio is the editorial director of Reactionary Times, a columnist with Newsmax, The American Thinker, and townhall.com. ReactionaryTimes.com is the website. You can tweet him at, oh yeah, it's Julio. Hey, Julio, welcome back to the program.
Hey, thank you so much for having me, Tom.
So now that we know that our president is not only the grifter that we believed him to be, but clearly has been, laundering money for people since the 80s in order to finance the fact that the $400+ million, which would be over $1 billion in today's money, that he used illegal tax schemes to basically, to steal from the American government out of his father's estate, has been just pissing this money away and ended up, bankrupt, what, 5 times? How do conservatives deal with this? The fact that this guy has been lying to you all along about his net worth, about his wealth, about, what his business acumen. What does it mean to you guys?
Listen, you know what it means to me? I'll sum it up to you in 2 words. Who cares? I mean, at the end of the day,
I care.
He's doing his job. Wait a minute. Let me finish, Tom. He's doing his job. An excellent job as president, and he's been operating in the best interests of America.
Really? Please name one piece of legislation that Donald Trump has signed that's helped America.
What was that? I'm sorry, I didn't catch that.
I said, please name one piece of legislation that Donald Trump has signed that, in the majority, helped people who are not in the top 1%.
The tax reform. I mean, the tax reform was
87% of those benefits went to the top 1%.
I actually put out a story on ReactionaryTimes.com on this. The very journalists that are hitting him consistently and saying that he's so bad for America and this and that. The average salary for a journalist in this country is about $45,000. And I did the comparison as far as how much, they were paying under the previous, tax rules versus the Trump tax rules. And they saved about 20% on their tax bill.
So
And
this
people
is
that
your
are
only
making under
argument,
$50,000
Julio, is
like
that
they have to watch every penny.
Is that Donald
So
Trump
they
is
should know
wonderful
that.
because of the tax cut?
Reporters are being very disingenuous. They all got a raise last year because of Uncle Trump. So I don't want to hear that.
Yeah. Okay. So that's it, right? That's the
No,
only thing he's
not
done.
that. I mean, you look at renegotiating and attempting to renegotiate a lot of different trade deals that we have going on. Obviously, with
with
Mexico
NAFTA, he's
thing.
saying no, we don't want environmental protections. No, we don't want labor protections. With this deal with China, actually, the whole trade thing is an area where I think he's doing it incompetently, but I agree with the spirit of it. But back to my original question, Julio, I don't see this guy. You
didn't have a question. It wasn't a question. It was just you're bashing him, and you want me to just start pulling out things that he's done that's positive for America. I can sit here for an hour and tell you all the positive things that he's done for America. This is ridiculous. This is
what I'm saying, Julio, is that when the guy who is the president, when the guy who's got the bully pulpit, when the guy who becomes the example for America is a racist, and now we're seeing racist incidents exploding, anti-Semitic incidents exploding, violence against people of color, Muslims and Jews exploding. He's setting that example.
Exploding?
When he's a grifter, he's setting that example. Now you got the Consumer Finance Protection Bureau coming out and saying, as these policies are throwing everybody into disaster, they're saying, oh, well, instead of allowing debt collectors to harass you once a week, we're going to let them harass you on an unlimited basis. This is the new rule that McMulvaney is coming out with. We have a grifter in chief. We got a bunch of grifters in his cabinet. Wilbur Ross at the top of the list, the guy that literally was called a grifter by Forbes magazine.
Listen, the Fair Debt. First off, let me just address the one because you're throwing 10 things out at me. The Fair Debt Collection Practices Act, commonly known as the FDCPA, allows for daily contact between debt collectors and debtors, but you have to do it under a certain way. You can't continually contact people.
Once you've talked to somebody, you can't talk to them again for a week.
One phone number once a day. There's rules. I mean, I come from that industry, so
right. You may try to call somebody once a day, but if you reach them, you have to wait a week before you do it again.
No, you don't. No,
yes, you do.
That's not true. That's not the FDCPA.
That's the law right now.
That's not what the FDCPA says. I know the FDCPA because I was a compliance officer for a collection agency. So, no, you're wrong.
Well, that's what the New York Times is saying this morning. But anyhow, my point,
the New York Times says
will you acknowledge that Mick Mulvaney, on behalf of Donald Trump and Mike Pence, are trying to make it easier for debt collection people to harass people who have debts?
It's not about harassment. Listen, I was
unlimited email, unlimited text messages. That's not harassment.
Getting the money that you're owed from people who owe you.
Unlimited email, unlimited text messages.
Somebody's head and said, you know what, you got to take this high interest credit card or loan. Nobody did that. These people willingly signed into these contracts, and
Julio,
guess what? When it's time to pay your bill, you got to pay your bill.
Okay, yeah, Julio, let's get back to the original question, and because I really think this is a big deal.
Which original question?
The original question that we have now learned that the guy in the White House is a grifter. That he lied to us about his net worth.
You just want to. This is slander.
This is not slander. The guy is he pled guilty to fraud, Julio. He paid a $25 million fine for the fraudulent Trump University. He's a grifter. He's a con man. How can the Republican Party continue to defend a guy who is a confessed con man?
Listen, the fact of the matter is, the only thing that we can really judge him on as voters, and we have a big election coming up next year, which apparently all these mainstream media sources want to get ahead of it and try to bash this guy in advance of the election. The fact of the matter is he's doing a great job as president. Listen, I'm not in love with everything that he's ever done, but that's the essence of capitalism. There's some pitfalls and some negatives. They come with capitalism, but I'd rather have that than have a socialist system any day of the week.
So let me get this straight. The new standard for President of the United States in the Republican Party is we don't care if he assaults women. We don't care if he's an anti-Semite. We don't care if he's a racist.
What women has he assaulted? First off, wait a minute. Stop. What women has he assaulted?
Summer Zervos.
I want to pick this apart.
Summer Zervos. Summer Zervos. A judge just said her case can go forward. She's actually moving forward right now, just like was happening.
And you have evidence of this because you're saying it.
A court has evidence of it, and the court agreed with her.
That this occurred.
A court has evidence of it, and the court agreed with her. The court has evidence of it, and the court agreed with her. But in any case, I hadn't even finished my question to you. When we look at the fact that this guy,
for any stupid reason,
hang on, you've got all the, well, Trump is an admitted sexual assaulter. He bragged about it, but nonetheless, these are the new criteria. And when a Democrat is running for president, are you going to say, oh, well, if Bernie went to the Soviet Union when he was the mayor of Burlington because Moscow was the sister city, or St. Petersburg or whatever it was, that's okay? You're never going to again attack a Democrat for anything that they might have done in the past. Is that what you're saying? These are the new standards?
No, that's not what I'm saying.
Presidents are just like born like Minerva from Zeus's head?
All these arguments were already fought in 2016. He won. Get over it, Tom. And
in 2016, we didn't know that he was broke.
He wasn't broke.
How do you know?
You don't even understand the way that this stuff works. He was reinvesting.
He's living off his cash flow
in his own businesses, playing the long game, buying out his partners in many cases because of his strong self-belief.
This is not what these taxes are showing.
And now that strong self-belief is the reason why he's worth $3 billion. So you're going to try to call a guy that's worth $3 billion broke? I mean, let me ask you.
You have no evidence he's worth anything, Julio. You have none.
No, yes, we do.
If if these
all across
Julio,
the
if these things are lies, there's a real simple solution.
Properties last night at the Trump International
If all
Hotel,
these charges that Donald Trump is actually broke are actually lies, there's a real simple solution. Release your tax returns. Why won't he do it? What's he hiding?
But what's the obsession with the tax? Like, is that going to change?
I want to know if my president is vulnerable to being blackmailed by some guy from Azerbaijan or from the Philippines or from Russia. That's what I want to know. Has he been bought off by these international, basically this international mafia?
They get hurt because
and you don't care.
The mainstream media is going to paint these as Trump companies, and people are going to boycott these companies. So there's a reason why there's redactions in the Mueller report. There's a reason why Donald Trump has the right to not have to release those tax returns. And if he wants to invoke executive privilege on something like that, it's fine.